Awesome. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Zenful Conversations. It has been a hot minute since I had an interview. I think it's been about a week and a half here. I kind of got overloaded and needed to take a break, but sure, sure might be able to relate to that. But we are here today for this conversation, not an interview. It's a conversation and it's unscripted and unedited. And today we are welcoming Stacy Strawn into the living room here. So welcome, Stacy. Welcome to the conversation.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Cool. I'm delighted. I'm delighted. We've actually been in a handful, I think, of these virtual gatherings, but we don't know each other that well. Um, So let me just ask you what made you say yes to doing this bold, bold move?
I guess I'm really trying nowadays to really step out of my comfort zone and say yes to more things that normally in the past maybe I would have said no to. I'm trying to just, I don't know what it is, confidence or fear, but I'm really just trying to step out of my comfort zone and expand my literary horizons and yeah, maybe just be a little bit more comfortable in general speaking to the public, to others that I don't know very well. I'm just trying to kind of step out of old patterns and try something new.
Yeah, cool. That's I like to do that myself. And part of this for me is a practice. And I've got a real issue with wanting things to be just so, this perfectionism thing. I mean, I've got a real issue with it. And so this is part of this to me. That's why I'm just doing them unscripted and unedited because I need to lighten myself up a little bit. If everything's not just quite right, I seem to get be quite a little too irritated by things, and there's something to be said for striving for excellence, but this perfectionism stuff. So anyway, so that's part of all this. So everybody, you can expect mistakes, and we're proud of them here. um, but yeah, that's cool. So you're a writer, poet, writer. Tell me
Yeah,
about yourself.
yeah, I've been writing, I guess, my whole life, but really for the past 7 years, I've really started to write more poetry and really try to have a little bit more of like a daily practice for journaling, gratitude journaling, just all kinds of mindfulness practices that can help bring me into small moments, help ground me. So right now it's just a hobby, but I would love to start going to open mic nights, sharing publicly. I'm really wanting to expand my horizons and not just kind of contain it to my little journals that I write in.
Well, I would say I cannot even remember his name, sorry, so I can't give credit. I think his name escapes me. His name escapes me, but I had a conversation with someone once, and I was saying that I want to start doing this or whatever. I want to start doing this. Let's just say we have started doing this because you're here. And maybe it was this way, and you find yourself saying that and say, until now. This until now is a good saving thing because the way our brain works, if we say, I want to start, it'll stay there. What I do is, or I will say, I want to start until now. I'm doing it. So we kind of got to catch ourselves. Um, I was going to ask you what stops you from doing that, from going to open mics and these conversations that you are doing now, though. What was stopping you, you think, up until now?
I think it's mostly fear. I'm really for the past 7 years. 7 years ago, I had a pretty severe loss of some family members, and it was a really traumatic loss, and it was in the news. And I think the news exposure, especially, is what has kind of quieted me, made me kind of feel like I really need to hide, that my voice might be there's fears in my head that my voice might be exploited for whatever reason. There's just a lot of fear that comes in for these past years. So I've really just used writing as a cathartic, healing mindfulness practice. But me and you, we have something in common knowing Rosemary. I don't know her intimately, but just her words have really uplifted me. And I guess I'm just really kind of feeling lately the compulsion to really share a little bit more of my story, my words, and hope that they might have some kind of a positive impact how Rosemary's words have had on me. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. Yeah. I will say I
here.
love her. I love her. Um, I have a deep love for her. And that's what one of the things I really love about this virtual world. I've never met her in person, probably never see her in person. And there's a good handful of people that I absolutely love and adore deep in my heart and cherish. And she's one of them. It's to me a whole different story sharing than it is writing. As a whole separate practice in its own. And I'll share in these circles and stuff like that because I share regularly in these circles. Um, but I'm not anywhere near ready to do anything more than that at this point in time. It's one thing, it's always everything's fluid, this whole is fluid, but it's surprising how much has to do with our thoughts, you know. But you don't have control over things when they get out there either.
Yeah. Yeah, I've kind of been limiting social media, just limiting all different things that have kind of really put me in this little isolated bubble. And I'm the type of person that really wants deep human connection, that gains so much from hearing others' stories, hearing their poetry. So I just kind of want to break my bubble open a little bit more and be willing to step away from some of the fear and just really trust and share with what I've found is such a supportive community, and I feel like it is a safe area to share in.
This a neat group of people, I'll tell you that for sure. Because I think at least from what I've experienced thus far, and I'm sure there's a few bad apples out there, but I have not sensed any ill intentions or people trying to cut you down or stop you from expressing. In fact, I find it rather encouraging to express and grow. And it just, I'm to finally have found a space of people that are like minded is just, it's a gift. It's a gift. It's a true gift.
I agree with yeah, I just really love hearing a little bit more intimately about people's creativity, how they see the world. I'm the type of person who really just doesn't want to talk about the weather or shallow things. Like I really enjoy connecting, and I feel like through art and poetry, it is a deeper way to connect to humans and to grow, to learn, to expand my mind, and I find it a really supportive practice.
So let me just ask you, because I think you just answered it, but why do you write?
At first, it started as kind of a stream of consciousness, journaling, really just a way to house my emotions, a safe container to express my emotions. And it's kind of morphed into a deep contemplation of spirituality, philosophy, the world around me. I do a lot of my writing when I'm in nature, so it kind of just comes and flows through me. Like when I have these deep, mindful connections to, the woods, the river, the mountains, I just feel like a really strong compulsion to jot those things down. And then it's really just so healing for me in that way. but more and more I have been sharing some of my writings, on a few Zoom things with close friends, but I am feeling more and more compelled to like share with others as well.
Did you bring anything to share today?
I did, yeah, I organized a few different things. So, yeah, I have some
Well,
newer.
I'd love to hear something. If you want to read something, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, I would love to. Let me let me see. So, this one is titled Mindful but Grounding. Today my broken bits, jagged and yearning for wholeness, found respite in the softness of the wood, in the grounding earth, in the sweet high birdsong and tiniest chipmunk, in the mossin layers, in the light and gentle drops falling from the heavens. I see it all when I pause and sit amongst the wild, the tiny creatures moving with curiosity and quickness, the tenderness, the love, right here to seal my cracks with bee honey and dewy grass and sweet midsummer rain, and that overcast lighting under cloud and canopy, those deep purple blooms, towers for the fae, and I stop to kneel at bumble and bee and briar and columbine and clumps of moss and bright red berry, and I can smell the sweetness and the death and hold it all, and I ground and I ground and I ground and let it be, broken and mending and raw and gorgeous and scarred and lightning and sweet and noxious and Thursday at 2:22 on a late July day, and it just is, and it's okay.
Mm, I love that ending.
Thank
Can
you.
you repeat those last couple lines? That was delicious.
And I ground and I ground and I ground and let it be, broken and mending and raw and gorgeous and scarred and lightning and sweet and noxious and Thursday at 2:22 on a late July day, and it just is, and it's okay.
Oh my goodness, that is wonderful.
Thank you.
That is wonderful. I really, really, absolutely love that ending. How you threw the time in there like that. It's pretty cool. But just the it's okay.
Yeah,
Be
just
okay.
you can kind of see that example of most of my writing lately has really just been like little mindful drop-ins of, just explaining where I am in time and space. And maybe there's a little bit of heaviness, and there's also an immense amount of beauty, and it all is that dichotomy, the holding of both, beauty and sorrow. Like I feel that those words are kind of what was channeling through in that poem.
Yeah. Well, Rosemary has said that you need both. Um, she talks about the tension. The poem needs some tension. And if you're going to write a poem about peace, it has to address war. So that was nice. Thanks. Thanks.
You're welcome. Yeah, I think it's tension, and it's also the truth of the human existence. Like, even on my worst days, there are moments of really awe-inspiring beauty that I can tap into. And I guess that's what I found so supportive. And really, writing kind of brings that more to the forefront, especially like gratitude journaling, but even poetry. It really just helps you remember, like, yes, you might be sad or grieving or having a rough day, but there are moments that you can really sink into and be mindful of finding some beauty around.
That's the practice, baby girl. That is definitely the practice because it's there. We just have to notice it. Um, and I think that's also part of the beauty or the appeal of this community is these people are more focused on looking and writing about the beauty. I mean, not everything's beauty, but how they don't avoid emotions to where most people don't quite deal with the emotions, right? So that's what that's what I think. Let me put this on pause because Stacy just dropped out of the call. She says she's in the mountains. You know what we'll do is we'll just wait for her to come back on. She says, because I don't want these to be edited at all. She says she was in the mountains, so her internet may be spotty. And spotty's okay. I didn't know she was going to drop off the call. So I think what I'll do is I'll take this moment to mention these one-on-one conversations. Um, we're open to having them with writers, and initially they began as part of the Summer of Love poetry series, and so were the workshops that we're doing. The writing workshops are part of that Summer of Love poetry series. And not that I haven't done workshops before, because we have done a lot of therapeutic workshops, and most of them have involved writing, if not all. Um, and we also we're having the live studio Zooms with the guest speakers. We've been having those for years here. Um, but they have shifted and changed a little bit with this Summer of Love program that we had. And here we are finding ourselves right coming up towards the end of the summer. Monday, we enter fall. And so I was like, well, what, and what I've realized, what I've recognized is that now I know what's going to stay, what can be adjusted, and we will continue these, but we will enter a fall series, and we'll start that fall series. I think I will begin to mention that fall series probably Monday when it turns fall. We just kept talking here, Stacy. We just kept talking. So welcome back. Glad you're here.
Thank you. Sorry about the
That's
technical.
it's okay. I kept talking, so no big deal. Um, I was just saying that we were doing this as a Summer of Love poetry series, and summer is coming to a close, and we're entering fall season, the beautiful season of letting go. And I was like, well, I'm still going to continue these, but it'll be part of the fall program.
I've been loving attending your Zooms. I've been so appreciative of these beautiful spaces to connect and share. So I hope they continue.
Oh yeah, they will. They're great. I'm loving them, and they're just. I think they're fantastic because it helps feature a poet or a writer or a creative of some type, which is one good. It gives us all opportunity to write and together and learn from everybody. So yeah, I mean, as long as I get the support, I'm there, you
Great.
know? Yeah. So yeah. So talk to me a little bit more about your practice. Do you have a regular timed practice, or is it when you get the inspiration, or talk to me about your writing?
Yeah. So lately it's been a little bit more when I get the inspiration. Maybe I'm actually out on a beautiful hike and really getting inspired by the natural world around me and kind of listening deeply to what nature has to say. And then it feels like it kind of just flows and channels through whatever is wanting to be said, but I would love to start a little bit more of a daily practice, and that's kind of why I'm participating in so many Zooms and really just trying to do more and more writing. And talking about Rosemary again, I just find it so freeing how her daily practice has allowed her to not necessarily write perfectly polished things, but she writes every day and she shows up. So I would really like to kind of transition into doing more of a daily practice and not just whenever I'm massively inspired. Yeah, so I think that
Yeah.
the daily practice could benefit me.
Well, there's no doubt because the more we practice whatever we practice, it changes us, and that's the whole thing. You know, I'm not there by any means with my practice, with my writing anyway. Uh, you probably know I came into this from the therapy angle as a yoga therapist because it's part of what you prescribe as part of your plan is to write. Um, so all of this has been about my healing. I got stumbled up in some stuff. I got hung up in something, uh, and it lasted years. That I'm not able to get back. Um, but it's been an interesting journey coming back, and I'm loving everything. And obviously, that's where you grow is when you get stumbled up. I think, but or when you get smacked with something like that, that's enough to stumble you up. I forget what I was going to say about it. Oh, but what I will say is to me, it's amazing what just showing up for ourselves does. It's like it doesn't even take for me. I can only speak by my experience, but I know where I came, and I know by the fact of me just showing up for myself, it happens automatically with kind of without effort. It's just to showing up. And I'm talking like I couldn't walk in 2016 without excruciating pain to now to yoga advanced instructor to the therapist. So, and it's only happened because I kept showing up. So there's something else, and this is by a meditation instructor, David Sandercott. We had a conversation with him one time, and he asked me, he called me out. He said, "What's your meditation practice like?" And I was like, "I've been a certified meditation instructor since 2014." And I said to him, "Well, not what it should be considering." And he stopped me right there. Stacy, he said to me, and this is a good one. He said, "Replace the word should with could. My meditation practice is not what it could be." And do you feel the different energy in that? It could be, it could be freaking the bomb. Now I'm feeling, oh yeah, to where it's not where it should be is the guilt and the shame and all of that. And those are the feelings, the energies that stop us from living our best life, because it stops you from doing. So could try to use
Yeah,
could
I love the shifting of the story and how that can really transform.
completely.
Yeah,
Because when I think about what I can do, I know what the hell I'm made of. I know I've seen my wings. You know what I mean? And I know what I could do. But do I wanna? That's another story. Because I'm a lot to keep up with if I go for it.
yeah, and what
But
you're saying just about showing up, that was really resonating with me, like, maybe it started a little bit more with, like, a gratitude practice and how you were saying, there was a time you couldn't even walk without excruciating pain. There was a time for me where I couldn't even do anything without just bawling tears coming out and feeling so just kind of steeped in sadness. And I feel like the gratitude practice for just jotting down 3 things I'm grateful for every day has really helped to shift my mind out of like the victim mindset, the just kind of really being overwhelmed with sadness. It's just kind of given me a little bit of the true perspective of what there still is to be very grateful for. And that kind of speaks to how you were saying just the shift of could and should and releasing the
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, yeah, and not to say that sometimes this showing up for yourself, I'm making it sound like, hey, there's nothing you got to do. Sometimes you don't like what you see, but the beauty is we can take it. Okay, that's all I want today. To me, as long as I show up, I'm good. If I'm present for myself, I'm good. It doesn't have to last long if I'm not in a good spot today and don't want to deal with what I'm meeting at that moment. Okay, but you got there's another one, Giovanni Dienstman. Now, Giovanni Dienstman, I haven't talked to in a few years, so I imagine he's improved his practice. He meditates for 2.5 hours a day, sits. Now, I think that a lot of what we do, the writing is meditation and all this, all of the sound bowls, the things that we do are meditation. Yoga is certainly a meditation. I mean, I got to say, I think life is a meditation if we allow it to be. But sitting, the practice of sitting in meditation, which I adore, but I don't dedicate as much time to it as I really would love. Um, but he dedicates 2.5 hours a day. And so part of his discipline program, because he talks good bit about discipline, self-discipline, um, is saying never zero. It doesn't matter how much, but never zero. You've got to show up for yourself, or it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So these are really, and that's, I mean, the golden nuggets that people have shared. That's why I think these conversations are just amazing, and I appreciate you sharing and contributing to all that also. What did you all want to say when what did you have some notes that you brought? What do you want to say today?
I didn't really necessarily bring notes. I just brought a lot of my writings, but I would love to say that, yeah, I resonate with what you're saying. I would also love to have a sit practice where I am silently meditating. Right now, it's not what I'm doing, but I do really enjoy the silent sits, and any one that I've done in the past has been so beneficial to me. But right now, the way that I show up for myself is writing in some capacity, creating in some capacity every single day. Like, your Zooms have massively inspired collage and other creative outlets, but I try to do like something creative every single day, and I try to make it not be so serious. It doesn't I even try to not have like a planned outcome so much. I let it morph and grow and change. And I just really find that that connects me to like my playful inner child, my curiosity, my imagination. It really helps take away the seriousness of making some masterpiece, and it's just so fulfilling. Like, any creative mindfulness expression is so fulfilling to me. So, I mean, it could literally be cutting scraps of paper, polymer clay, mixed media art, poetry, like it can be any kind of creativity, but if I just try to show up in a small creative way at least once a day, that I find is like really rewarding to my life. And I'm not sure if some of it stems from not having any children and really my body really wanting to like birth things into the world. I feel like lately, and maybe it's part of the grief too, just like a beautiful, safe container for me to express emotion and contemplate nature's beauty. Like, a lot of my poetry, a lot of my art is really inspired by nature. So, yeah, I feel like it's kind of this beautiful, big connective tissue that connects you into mindfulness. and just beauty in general. So I just find, yeah, any kind of creative thing that I can do during the day is so exactly what I need.
And so, if somebody was listening in or watching this, and they have a trauma to work through, because you said that you had started out when you were crying all the time, and now you're not. What would you say to them?
I would hope that they could see some hope in my ability to not cry 24/7. I'm not currently crying. Yay. I would just want them to have some hope of really knowing that there are supportive practices even when it seems like your whole world shatters and you're in this like deep pit of despair. Taking little moments of self-care that build and build. I feel like those little moments of self-care, whether it's creative practice, mindfulness practice, just something comforting like a soft blanket, a tea, anything you can do to just give yourself compassion, love, and kind of create this like little warm, safe bubble around you with, art and just anything that really uplifts your soul. That's what I've like tried to really delve into. And I've tried to kind of put other things out of my head, like societal expectations, or just I've really tried to let my body do what it needs to do in this intense grief. And that's to be mindful, to be present as much as I can. I did spend a lot of the 7 years kind of running a little bit more, using substances to numb. But now, in this current moment, as I really try to face everything with a lot of compassion, I do feel my very strong ability to expand around my trauma and really not let the trauma like anchor me and weigh me down. It's really kind of breaking me open. I'm a different person than I was 7 years ago, but I'm finding more and more abilities to be mindful. Yeah, so I would just say hope and really holding on to the idea that everything changes. So I was having like the most hardest days ever. I mean, just crying and crying and crying and really not being able to speak to strangers or anything. And now I'm, stepping out of my bubble, not having as much fear. And I just feel like there is hope because I've experienced it very intensely, the shift and the expansion and just the change that grief can go through. Like, it's not always so heavy and so bleak. Like, I've found so many silver linings. So I would just hope people could hopefully feel and hear that slightly. It's really hard to hear when you're in your like hardest days. It almost feels like a slap in the face, like somebody saying like, "Look, you can be joyful." But I've just experienced it, so I'm hoping others can like just start. I guess the best place to start is the very very small places of self-care. And then that can transform into possibly sober mindfulness or a writing practice or more art, but just starting with like little moments of self-care and love.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I was an overstimulator myself in any way I could, in any way I could. I overworked. I whatever. Well, not whatever, but I drank pretty darn good. But I'll tell you, and that was what I stopped in December 2013, actually. Uh, that was a big step of self-love there. But that's what led to me getting my meditation instructor. Like, cause all right, now I got to deal with this because what had happened had not gone away. And I wasn't able to just, hide from it. So what you gonna do, Jen? And that's what began all of this for me too. And there was a time when I was going from, because I didn't exercise at all. I mean, I lost almost 100 pounds, gained a couple few back, but that's okay. They're adding to my womanly curves here. Um, but when I was trying out for that very first gym instructor license to facilitate a class at the gym, I was doing my very best. I was practicing my living room, and I'm like, I am not able to do this shit. I am just not. I'm 52. I'm overweight. It's not happening. And I was saying to myself, okay, well, a woman's got to know her limitations, and I'm like ready to accept that maybe I just can't do that, and that's okay. And then I was talking to my guy, Steve, about it. He came in and I told him that, and he looked at me. And because I said, I don't think I can do it. I said, and even if I did, who's going to come to my class? Nobody's going to come to my class because I can't really do the stuff. I can't reach. I can't. I'm out of breath. I can't do it. And he looked at me so squared on. He said, Jen, people would hate you if you're too skinny. And I was like, well, I know it's true because the instructor I was dealing with at the time was skinny, and I had this little attitude going on, this little bouncy, instructor. Anyway, I ended up getting it on the first try, and then when I finally got my own class going at the gym, it was packed. It was packed with people that didn't feel quite perfect. In fact, they even brought their husbands who had not even exercised in years, and it was interesting, you know. And one step led to the next because you start and you don't stop. You just start and just don't stop. The speed doesn't matter to me. It's just don't stop because those seeds and all that stuff is still there. I think we have to keep an eye on this stuff. How about you read us another poem? Do you have something else with you?
Yeah. Okay. This one is called Three Deer and a Large Rabbit. Hopped by to the left, small yellow and gray bird, round body, silent, running. Grouse the other day on engineer's front. And they die too, every season and with the cold. Here I am to bloom again through thistle and beetle kill, bathed in the brilliance of the late spring sun, the moist earth, its last visible breath when the aspens glow, white and ashen gray against the sky of blue and light. The animals let me walk here with the spirits. I see where tree shatters, the air bearing its weight. The tiny cloves imprinted in mud, the stillness around, the stillness within, the dew and all the late evening's rain. My energy ebbs, snagged on thorn and rock, squiggled aspen, bright green, I swear is just for me, the awful wild, straddling terror and beauty. I am a birder here again, reborn in Swallow and southwestern Tanagar. The silence bellows through water-carved valley and 37th parallel. I leave you to your quiet, and where the trees cry and force themselves to the heavens, and the suckers stabilize the soil. I want to stretch a little more, to be more wild and free. I want to split wide open like last night's sky and the deep void. Dewdrops on lamb's ear, I hear it all, the songs of sunrise and the warmth of spring and the promise of new beginnings, beginning again and again, here again.
Mm. Do you go back and revise your work a lot? Or does it just all come out?
So right now, it all pretty much just comes out, and I think it's because that's the way I've been doing like the stream of consciousness journaling for a few years. it's just how it flows out for me. There's a few instances where maybe I tweak some words or things. Maybe I don't love how it ended on a heavier note, so I want it to end a little bit more hopeful. So I kind of maybe look at the ending of things, but I would say for the most point, things kind of just flow out.
Hmm. We are having not this Thursday is Dr. Darcy Lord. She's a self-love expert. She's going to be our with our writing workshop. But the following workshop is with Maya Stein, who is talks about she's going to talk about it's going to be about revision on some level. Uh, are you familiar with Maya Stein?
No.
She's a very interesting woman. And anyway, I took a course of hers about the revision process, and I just thought it was interesting. Anyway, I hope you can make it to those as well. Um, just to see, because I mean, I know you don't revise, and I'm not even saying that you need to because they're beautiful. I'm just in process of learning about the art and the craft myself. And do you write by hand? I suppose you write by hand more than on the computer if you're out walking.
Yeah, it's kind of half and half between by hand or just in the notes of my phone. So I have this like ever going note in my phone that is just so long with like years and years of poems. And that's just kind of easy. I don't know. You always have your phone on you. I don't always have a laptop. So, especially when I'm out like trying to hike some more remote area, sometimes it's nice to just quickly jot it. Or even when I'm actively hiking and I don't really want to stop, I do the like speak to text into the note so I can just kind of like speak what the poem is saying and it's like translated into the note. And I find sometimes it's hard for my phone to recognize my words. Maybe I need to enunciate better or but I do have to go back in those and make sure everything came out correctly. But yeah, kind of half and half between writing or just doing it in my phone notes.
Yeah, because I love the pen, the whole feel of it and all that, and that's what I was doing. And then I took that course with Maya Stein, and it was on the computer because you copy and you paste and you move and you play with it. And it was like, whoa. And then Rosemary, she writes on the computer. She because she can close her eyes and write, which sounds quite beautiful. Um, so I mean, there's benefits to both, and I was just wondering. So I guess that, it's there's a lot of craft involved in the whole writing, a lot of emotion, like a lot of different facets, you know, this whole field of writing. But I do believe that it's led, it feels like there's so much heart in this field.
Yeah.
And there's really no right or wrong.
Yeah, it's reminding me of the collage workshop you hosted. And I feel like poetry is similar, just kind of what the subconscious wants to bring to light, what maybe you've been really contemplating deeply is kind of what comes out. And just similar to the collage, it's very freeing. It doesn't have it can flow, but it can also be chopped up and rearranged and edited. Like I find the practice very freeing for me and how I approach it. Just like really not expecting any certain outcome, letting it flow the way it wants to, and just being very like loose with it, I guess, is what I really enjoy about my practice.
Nice. What is it you want people to know about Stacy Strawn?
Um, I guess that writing can just be the best thing in the world. So if you're at all contemplating doing it yourself, you should just start. And I've just found it massively supporting in healing, in living more mindfully, in increasing self awareness. Anything that you're drawn to, I would say don't let fear or feeling like the stresses of perfectionism, don't let any of these things hinder you. Like, I would say my best thing is to be like a child and really be just so playful and let creativity and imagination uplift you how it did in childhood, to where there wasn't money associated with it or pressures or any of these adult things that always get in the way. I would say really try to focus on your self-care and art practice as a child would, just dropping into the moment, being fully present, and being so free with it and just seeing where it goes.
Is that what your writing does for you?
Yeah, definitely. I find so much comfort and just I feel like I learn more and more when there's not like a strict thing that I'm trying to make, or I just feel like I'm even able to learn more self-awareness, or I just like following the flow and where things might go and not putting barriers around it. So I like the freedom.
Yeah, I like the freedom of that as well. Um, so you're hoping your words, your work in this world inspires people to, I don't want to put words in your mouth. What are you hoping your work, your words do? What is your wish?
I guess my wish is just help people not feel alone, help them really see kind of my arc out of the heaviest days and into a little bit more gratitude, mindfulness, the ability to be here in a positive way. And my friend Melissa that I met a few years ago, she really helped me to really let it be just a real free creative expression that flows out, and not to become too serious or too worried about outcomes or where it might go. And I don't know, that freedom has really just allowed me to write more and more. I don't feel pressure, like, I just am writing as much as I can or creating. And it's really been a healing journey to help connect me with my deep self, connect me with those who I've lost. It helps me to kind of meditate. And it's almost a ritual around the people that I've lost. I really can meditate on past memories of them. I can bring them into my current moment by kind of almost like sharing the poem, the experience that I'm having in nature. It feels like I'm kind of still in conversation with those that I've lost. So, yeah, I would just say, dive deep into whatever practice is resonating with you, because it can really be this beautiful rooting to a world of beauty. And I just find it so cathartic and uplifting. And yeah, I don't even
And
know.
you're just getting started. And you're just getting started. So what could, it's whatever we decide how much we want to practice, because it changes us. It changes because you could even see from just your story you told how wildly different just from your practice. So it's just interesting how that works. It's fascinating. Do
I
you
think
have another? Go ahead.
I just think it ties back into what you were saying about really shifting the mind and saying I could instead of I should. And I think whatever way you can show up for yourself in any small care, it might transform into this thing down the road that you don't even know is possible. Like, that's kind of what happened with me. first my words maybe were way too negative and sad, and but now my poems have become more mindful and inclusive of all the beauty that's around me, and it's really acted as like a little tether, a little lifeline. I felt kind of floating and unanchored by my loss and my grief, and now this practice has really kind of grounded me again, and I think it's just such a beautiful thing. So I hope people can just, I can't sit in silent meditation, but I can write or I can do art. So, whatever small way people can do, I would just encourage them to do that small thing that could be planting the seeds to some beautiful thing that's going to bloom years down the road.
Mhm, mhm. And even if it doesn't look like it does, it's all about our relationship with ourselves. And no matter what, it's going to, and we have to trust ourselves again too. There's so much involved in all of this. This showing up there's no good, no bad, there's no right, there's no wrong. It's about being there for ourselves. Do you have one more piece you'd like to read?
Sure, this one's from a few years ago, and I'll read it kind of in honor of my friend Melissa, who really helped deepen my practice for poetry. She was kind of the first person that I would share my poems verbally with. So, this is a poem I wrote when I was first meeting her. So, it's called Leaving. I leave footsteps in saturated clay and swollen mud for a while until the next rain washes any trace of me away. The heaviness of my body pressed into moist earth, sweat, tears, strands of hair, flakes of skin. I leave a little weight of the sadness I carry always, tucked safely into the depths of the quiet forest, carried down the clear stream, hidden, silenced in the quietness of the moss and pine needles and leaves, dwarfed by canopy of kauri and pine and aspen and evergreen. You leave traces of dirt and clay kicked up on my legs and plastered on the soles of my shoes for a while until they're washed away by another stream or river or mud. You leave the trace of the sun on my tanned cheeks. I leave the oil from my fingertips as I touch your texture on your bark and moss. You leave oxygen in my lungs. You leave a trace of joy, a refreshment of hope that I can come again and be held by your vastness, that I can be swallowed up in the trees and grass and mountains. You hold my grief when it becomes too heavy. I get temporarily cleansed in the waters of your lakes and marshes and rivers. You leave the sound of bird calls echoing in my ears and dreams.
Mhm, mm. Thank you. These hours go so fast. Uh, we find here we are at the end of our time together. I always am amazed how fast it happens. Do you have any final closing words that you'd like to share or anything at all?
Just really to step out of your comfort zone and don't let fear kind of weigh you down and close you in. I think to really participate in this human experience, I think it's really nice to connect to people and to not let whatever traumas, whatever fears, to not let it like cage you in and kind of imprison you. I would say it's much more refreshing and just much more of a uplifting experience to connect with others, to share your words. I've found so much comfort in hearing other people's stories and hearing their poetry. It's really uplifted me. So I think step out of your comfort zone and maybe share with others, even if you're feeling nervous, because it's like a two-way road. It benefits you sharing and it benefits people hearing and being supported and not feeling alone.
Mm, yeah, that's for sure. Truth is, it's made me realize hey, maybe my stuff isn't so bad. I've heard some of this stuff and it's like, oh, okay, I'll keep my little basket of mess. um, that's a good point. Thanks for bringing that up. Do you feel like you have said everything you want to say here? Do you feel complete with this?
Yeah, yeah. It was really nice to talk about creativity, and yeah, I think I shared everything that was on my heart.
Cool. Cool. I really appreciate you, being vulnerable and joining the conversation like this. And I also appreciate what you shared and sharing your poetry. Thank you for sharing your words and your heart and your smile and your joy and your enthusiasm for life. And I do hope that you continue to blossom and bloom and share the joy that you have found again, which is cool, man. It's cool again. And when we come back at it from the second time around, we're stronger and it's different. It's different. So thank you again, Stacy.
Yeah,
Thank you everyone for stopping by. Please go to zenfulconversations.com and see what's on the menu. In deep gratitude, in true gratitude. Namaste.
thank
Namaste.
thank you.